Hello class. In this video we're going to talk about creating tables and graphs for functions. So that's what the instruction tells us to do. Create a table. Get my pen ready. There we go. Table, graph. So the table, I'm just going to do X, Y. And since this is a linear graph, I'm just going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay. So, and we're going to evaluate the function. We plug in 1, we get -2 times 1 plus 1. -2 times 1 is -2. Plus 1 is -1. Okay. Now, remember, this was a pattern that we would do. So from now on, we can look at, we're subtracting 2 from point to point. So we're going to get -3, -5, -7, -9. Okay. So when we graph it, draw out your graph. You know, 1, 2, 3. I'm only going to get to 4. That's okay. And we got -1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And then we plot them. So we have 1, -1. That's right here. And then we have 2, -3. So right about there. We have 3, -5. So right about there. And then 4, -7. And it is a linear graph. So we can just go ahead and draw a line. All right, let's talk about another one. Let's 1/2 x minus 1. Now, it might take a little bit of strategy because with the 1/2, we could end up with some fractions. But since I'm multiplying by 1/2, if I stick with even numbers, then I can avoid fractions in my output. So 1/2, we'll start with 2 times 2 minus 1. 1/2 times 2 is 1, minus 1 is 0. So I got 0. Now, this is really just to kind of tell us that you can choose whatever x values you want when you're creating your table. It's more about being strategic so you can get a nice picture. We plug in 4. 1/2 times 4 is 2, minus 1 is 1. And so since we're going up by 2's on the left, we're going up by 1's on the right. So then we can finish the pattern. So when I graph this, since I went up by 2 on my x's, I'm going to go up by 2's on my x-axis. And then we got 1, 2, 3, 4. So this is 1. So 2, you get 0. So right on the axis. And then 4, 1. And then 6, 2. And then 8, 3. And again, it's a linear function, so just draw your line. All right, for this one, we've got an absolute value function. So again, being strategic with how I choose my values. I'm going to start with -2 this time. I'm going to go -1, 0, 1, and 2. And on problems like this, that's going to be pretty standard. Let's look at y. So I plug in -2. You got to remember what an absolute value is. It's the distance to a point from an origin. And that's always a positive value. So absolute value of -2 is just 2 minus 4, and we get -2. So I get -2 there, and then I'll plug in -1. And this one I'll kind of talk out a little bit more than writing. Absolute value of -1 is 1, minus 4 is -3. And then absolute value of 0 is 0, minus 4 is -4. And then when we plug in 1, we start to notice something. Absolute value of 1 is the same thing as absolute value of -1. So because the operations after that don't change, we get the same answer. And then we'll get the same answer for 2 that we did for -2. So I'm going to go -1, -2, 1, and 2. And then we've got -1, 2, 3, 4 on our graph. So -2 -2, -1, -3, 0, -4, and then for 1 we go back up to -3, and for 2 we go back up to -2. This is why I strategically have and always will choose these points -2, -1, 0, 2, because with absolute values we get this little V turn in the graph that we want to keep in mind. If I chose 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, it might look like a linear graph again, but we want to do that. I'm going to draw this a little bit better. Okay, last one. Let's go ahead and I'm going to choose the same values as I did on the absolute value graph. So I'm going to choose -2, -1, 0, 1, and 2. So we get -2 squared is 4 plus 1 is 5. -1 squared is 1 plus 1 is 2. And then 0 plus 1 is just 1. And then we can see we get the same pattern or same idea. The only difference will be, well, let's take a look at it in a second. So we got 1, 2, 1, 2. And we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay. So 0, 1, 1, 2, -1, 2, then 2, 5, -2, 5. The difference between a quadratic graph and an absolute value graph is a quadratic graph curves. So don't draw it with a point, draw it with a curve. That's really the only main difference, though. Okay. So I would say when you do problems like this with quadratic and with absolute value, always go with these x values, -2, -1, 0, 1, and 2. As you progress through your math education, you're going to find that they'll change and you'll choose different values. But for now, as we're beginning, for absolute value and for quadratic graphs, choose -2, -1, 0, 1, and 2. Thanks for watching.